The voice of the forgotten temple. They told you her temples were lost, that the sacred was destroyed, forgotten, buried beneath the ruins of time. But you know better, because you've heard her, not with your ears, but with your cells, with your dreams, with the tremble in your breath when no one is watching. What they called ruins was never stone. It was memory, and memory can't be destroyed. It can only be silenced until someone dares to remember. This is not the return of a temple. This is the return of a voice that survived fire, exile, and centuries of forgetting, because it was hidden in the safest place of all, your silence. You didn't imagine it. That whisper you felt for years, that intuition you were taught to dismiss. She never left. She became you. Chapter 1. The temple was never lost. They told you the temples were turned to dust, that nothing remains of what once held the divine. But those who feel, those who remember without proof, know the truth. The Atlantean temples weren't made of brick or stone. They were built with vibration. Every chamber, every arch, every altar was tuned like a sacred instrument, designed to mirror the frequencies of the cosmos through the body of the feminine. The priestess was not a guest inside the temple. She was the temple. Every ritual, every movement, every breath activated codes stored not in scrolls, but in her cells. She didn't teach with words. She transferred wisdom through presence. She held frequencies the masculine world could not yet interpret. And when the world became too loud, too violent, too forgetful, she didn't try to save the structure. She sealed the song. She encoded the temple in the one place no fire could reach, within the feminine body. You carry that blueprint, not as metaphor, but as a spiritual architecture encoded into your energy field. Your spine is a sacred column, your breath the offering, your silence the sanctuary. You were taught to look for temples in ruins, but the real temple was never outside of you. It's what activates when you stop performing and start listening. It's what awakens when you move like water, speak like wind, and remember that your being is a ritual. You are not entering the temple. You are remembering that you've always been it. Chapter 2. Your voice is the echo of the sacred. There's a reason your voice trembles when you speak your truth. A reason you've swallowed words for years, not because you were weak, but because something ancient was waiting to be remembered. Your voice is not just sound. It is a frequency-bearing instrument, tuned across lifetimes, shaped by silence, refined through pain, purified by remembrance. The priestesses of Atlantis didn't raise their voices to command. They sang to open portals. They whispered to activate memory. They hummed into the bones of creation. Every syllable was intention. Every breath was architecture. Every tone was a ritual. Their voices held medicine. Not medicine for the body, medicine for the field. And now, in this life, when your throat closes for no reason, when you feel the heat rise before you speak, when you find yourself silent in rooms full of noise, it's not dysfunction. It's the echo of the sacred awakening again. You don't need to be eloquent. You need to be real. Because the frequency of truth, even when whispered, shakes the walls of false temples. When you speak from your gut, from your wound, from your knowing, you don't just communicate, you re-encode the field. And when you can't speak at all, when you're just breathing through the moment, you're singing in the language of the old temple, the one that was built in silence and now awakens in your tone. You are not just using your voice, you are channeling the memory of every woman who sang the world back to balance. Chapter 3. She speaks through the still ones. She never spoke to crowds. She never needed temples filled with noise. Because the ones who truly hear her have always been the still ones. They were never loud. They didn't compete for attention. They weren't the center of the stage, but they were the center of the frequency. They walked softly, but every step rearranged the energy of a place. They didn't always speak, but when they did, the field changed. The forgotten temple doesn't rise through force. It returns through coherence. Through the presence of those who have learned to listen before reacting, to feel before naming, to wait without fear. You've always known something inside you was different. Not weaker, just quieter. But in a world built on noise, quietness becomes resistance. Stillness becomes power. Silence becomes memory. You were never invisible. You were encoded. The reason you often felt out of place is because you were never here to fit in. You were here to anchor what had been lost. You are not broken for not speaking louder. You are attuned to the sacred, because only the still ones can feel the voice behind the veil. And she speaks to you. In the spaces between breaths, in the gaze of another awakened woman, in the ache of remembering something you can't name, in the exact moment you thought you were making it up. That's not your imagination. That's her choosing you again. Your stillness is not absence. It's signal. Chapter 4. You are the resonance she waited for. She's not coming back to you. She's coming back as you. The return of the temple is not a location. It's not a structure. It's a frequency that required a specific vessel, a body that could hold it, a soul that could remember it, a voice that wouldn't tremble in truth. And she waited for generations, for timelines to align, for distortions to be cleared, for your silence to ripen. She waited for you because you're not just remembering her, you're reactivating her. Her song is your tone. Her wisdom is your intuition. Her prophecy is in your blood. You were never meant to follow her path. You were meant to become her path. Not a copy, but a continuation. The resonance she carried was never lost. It was deliberately seeded in your field. And now that the frequency is rising again, you are the tuning fork. The world won't recognize this awakening in you because it doesn't look like fire. It looks like stillness. It feels like alignment, like warmth in your womb, like remembering who you were before the noise. And when you speak from that place, not to convince, but to radiate, you don't just echo the past, you activate the future. This is not imitation, it's embodiment. You're not a student of her legacy. You're the resonance she designed her return through. She didn't leave behind a temple, she left behind a tone. And that tone is you. Chapter 5. This is not a channeling. It's a reclaiming. Expanded, fierce, and spiritually grounded. This is not a trance. This is not a vision. This is not someone else's voice flowing through you. This is you taking back everything that was stolen. They called it channeling because they couldn't believe a woman could speak such truth on her own. They made you doubt your clarity, your knowing, your power. But this is not borrowed wisdom. It's inherited memory. What you're feeling isn't a message from outside. It's the frequency that was sealed in your bloodline. And now, after lifetimes of silencing, it's finally rising without permission. The forgotten temple isn't asking to return. She is reclaiming her place through you. You don't need to call it divine intervention. You don't need to name it guidance. Because what you're experiencing is not a transmission from the skies. It's a resurrection from the womb. This isn't about spiritual performance. It's about embodied memory. About the fire that stayed hidden behind your calm eyes and closed lips. About the altar that's been beating in your chest since the day you were born. When you speak now, you're not waiting for approval. You're not asking to be seen. You're carving space for something ancient to walk again. Not in temples, not in books, but in your body, your breath, your frequency. This is not a channeling. This is a reclamation of voice, presence, and legacy. And you are the living proof that the Atlantean code was never lost. Only hidden, in the one place no one could erase, your becoming. The priestess does not speak for someone else. She speaks as the temple itself. And now, so do you. If this voice awakens something ancient inside you, don't let it fade. Like this video to anchor the frequency, subscribe to keep the temple alive. Share it with the other women who are starting to remember. And most of all, write this in the comments to seal your remembrance. She speaks through me. Let her voice rise again, through yours.